Guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to start a successful farm in 2025. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, it's probably quite into the year. It's March. You're thinking to yourself, well, if I haven't done anything this year, I'm not going to be able to do anything. Well, I'll just give you something. I personally started my farm, as a matter of fact, in May 2019. So that's even much later than right now. So if you started right now, for example, if you started with a chicken farm and you started right now, your chickens would be laying by September, in May, by October. So you still have a lot of time. But not only just chickens, yeah? Even if you want to do goats, when you want to do cattle, you want to do piggery, it doesn't really matter when you start. Sometimes you find people and it's November and you're telling them about, starting things and building up things and goals and visions, and they're telling you, well, my New Year's resolution, I have to start next year. And you think to yourself, well, it's only November. I mean, if you could start in November, you'll be 2 months ahead of anyone else who starts much later on. So yes, you still actually have a lot of time to actually start that farm and get it going. And today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 4 very critical things that you need to think about as you're starting your farm for it to actually be successful in 2025. So stick around right through to the very end of the video. Number 1 is vision. So this is something that's quite underrated, and honestly, people either do one of things. Either they think that it's useless, it's just gimmicks, or people over-exalt it beyond measure, yeah? So the people who, underrate it, keep thinking to themselves, well, why do I need to have a vision? I can just decide, if I have my money, maybe $1,000, I just plan on it, start up my chicken farm, and, well, we get going. We'll deal with the vision much later. And then there's another group of people who concentrate so much on the vision that they actually never end up starting. No, you must be a hybrid of both. It's so important that you have a vision. Actually, to be specific, I believe it is the most important thing for someone who is starting a farm. Yeah. Personally, when I was much younger and I wanted to start a farm a long time ago, I had a target, I had a vision. I wanted to do chickens for eggs, and I wanted, to scale up the farm to the point where I have 2,000 chickens, yeah, because I imagine 2,000 chickens would probably bring me about, between $1,000 to $2,000 every month. And I was like, well, this is good enough for me, to just relax and be happy and enjoy my life. The good thing is that as you grow and as you make more money, your visions, become bigger. At that point, I was probably thinking $2,000 a month is too much money. I certainly did surpass that, and I'm still even growing. I have a bigger vision and things like that. But at least I did have a vision. Yeah. So without a vision, it is very easy for you to crumble. Without a vision, it is very easy for you to, collapse when things come pushing down on you and crushing you from all kinds of directions and things like that. So you need to make sure that you do have a vision. A vision keeps you focused. It keeps you directed on, what you should be doing. For me, like I've said, my vision and my goal was to start a commercial layer poultry farm and scale it to this number of birds. But if I had no vision, I could have just started, and my first flock didn't do so well. Well, it did okay, but not so well. Now, if I didn't have a vision, I could have told myself right at the start, well, I think layers are not for me. Let me move on to the broilers. And of course, for everyone who is starting, you're going to have problems. Then the broilers would be a problem. Then I would move on from them. I'm like, let me do turkeys. Simply because I don't have a goal and I don't have a vision. So for everyone who is starting, it is critical that you do have a goal and you do have a vision. It will drive your actions. It will, cause you to sacrifice a lot of things so that you fulfill that vision, so that you reach your target. Yeah. So it's very important that you have a vision. So sit down and draw a vision for your farm. Number 2, you've got to decide and choose the type of farming that you want to do. Yeah. Now this is probably one of the more complex things to do. I mean, having a vision is really important, but it's not really complicated. A lot of us have dreams. We've always had dreams when we were young. So it's easy to sit down and think of what you would want. But deciding is a bit more complicated than just sitting down and thinking about a vision. Deciding on what type of agriculture or farming that you're going to be doing is not so easy, yeah? Because you're going to be thinking to yourself, well, should I do crops? Should I do animals? Yeah. Now, animals generally require way more supervision, way more monitoring, whether it's cattle, goats, sheep, chickens like I do. It doesn't really matter. Of course, in between there, even the different types of animals require different types of monitoring. I've actually made a video where I'm helping you guys choose between, cattle, goats and sheep, poultry and piggery. I'll leave a link to that video right here. You can check it out. But all those generally require a bit more supervision compared to doing crops. Yeah. So you think to yourself, which of these should I choose? Or crops have a much higher risk compared to these others. Yeah, especially if you're depending on the weather, if you're depending on, the seasons for rain and things like that, sometimes it can be really risky and, very undeterminable. That's why I personally don't do them, because I feel like they're so unpredictable. Yeah, it's so unpredictable, and I personally would love to have things in my control. So because of the lack of control when it does come to those, I would just rather not do it. I would rather do something that I have control over. Yeah, but it's also something that you would want to choose. Now, some people don't mind that. Maybe they do have irrigation and they prefer to go with the crops because of the lack of supervision that you might need to have. You probably only have to do planting, then weeding, then spraying, and maybe another weeding depending on the crop, and then harvesting or pruning, which are a few activities. And like poultry, for me, for example, the guys have to be present and they are working on the farm each and every day. Yeah, so that might be a complexity and something that you might need to deal with. Another one might be your commitment, your availability, your timing. Yeah, all those things determine what you could be doing. Also the market, where you are your best. Maybe your beliefs and cultures. If you're Muslim, you certainly won't consider piggery. So depending on who you are and where you are, there are cultures where people don't eat chicken. There are places also where people don't eat chicken. So if you start a poultry farm, you're just going to be wasting your time. Yeah, so you need to consider all these things. You need to sit down and decide for yourself which of the different types of farming is actually something that's going to work for me. Yeah, so sit down and think about it, and like I've said, you can check out the video where I'm talking about the different types of animal farming, and you decide which one is best for you. Number 3 is learn. Now that you've got a vision, you've also made your vision more specific because you've decided on what exactly you're going to be looking after, whether it's animals or crops, then you've got to learn about that thing. Yeah, that's very important. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people get stuck in the learning phase because once they have decided what they want to go with, they just start gathering information and they never stop. Yeah, or a lot of people never start because they never get the information, because they have tried to look for the information and they just don't seem to get the information. Well, the thing that you need to understand is that it is so important to get information. Personally, for example, I don't allow visitors on my farm because of biosecurity reasons. When I started out my farm, my second flock of birds got really sick and I had chickens die because of improper biosecurity. So right now I pay a lot of attention to biosecurity, and because of that I don't allow visitors to the farm. But some people do allow visitors at the farm. So if someone allows visitors at the farm, you can go and check them out. Check out their farm, see how they're implementing their things and things like that. Now, I want you to understand that simply visiting someone's farm is not going to give you so much insight into what actually goes into running a farm. Because if someone comes and visits my farm, I'll show them what's around. The most they can get really is get motivated and inspired. Yeah, it's difficult for them to dive deeper into the processes and the things involved into the farm unless they actually get involved in the day-to-day activities on the farm. Now, that's also something I don't allow right here because I feel like it's too risky for me. But if you could do that and get deeper, then that would be good. But even that, I mean, it takes a lot. Yeah, I mean, for you to get the experience and the learning, it takes quite an amount of time. So one thing that I do believe is really good is, for example, the YouTube videos that I put outside here. If you can watch a big percentage of them, you're going to learn so much, probably much more than you would ever learn actually coming onto the farm. Because you're just going to come and see people implementing things and doing things around, and you just won't get it. So just make sure that you learn as much as possible. If you can physically visit some people and get info from there, that would be really cool. But do you know what would even be better? If you join the Farm Up Academy, because I've personally come up with the course. When I started out, I had a lot of stress and difficulty learning and gathering all information, especially for a poultry farm. Now, of course, I don't have trainings for other types of farming, but if you want to start a poultry farm, I had a lot of trouble getting this information. And I've learned from a lot of mistakes, lost a lot of money, put in place and tried out a lot of different systems and things, and I've managed to come together with something that works, yeah? Because it's personally what I'm utilizing, it's what I'm utilizing to grow and expand my farm. Currently, I've just finished building another chicken house that's going to take up even more birds using these principles. Now, if you do apply these principles, I've placed all of them in the Farm Up Academy. They're going to help you skip or quickly go through the learning phase. Yeah, you will much more easily be able to integrate this information together. You'll be able to move much quicker. You won't waste a lot of time and a lot of money simply learning and making mistakes and losing a lot of money. So I'll leave a link to the Farm Up Academy. You can check it out below, and you'll be well on your way to getting information, and it will take you really a very short time for you to learn these things. You'll also get templates inside there and all the documentation that you require for you to be successful. Now, after you've learned everything that you need, step number 4 is actually getting the money to start. Yeah, a lot of people pay emphasis to money. I personally believe that, of course, money is important, but it's not as glorified as a lot of people consider it. Yeah, being resourceful, being creative with ideas to find solutions to the money problem is actually a more important thing. So when you're starting out, of course, you're going to need money. Where are you going to get money from? You can get, your own savings, which I believe is the best way for you to start, because there is more at stake for you and you're more likely to be committed. That's number one. But number two, you can also utilize other people's money. So how can you utilize other people's money? You can get people to give you some money and you can utilize that money to help grow your farm. But number two, you can also borrow money from a bank. Now, I personally don't advise that people borrow money from banks to start a farm because I feel like it's too risky. And then, you're putting too much at the line. You're also putting interest in there. And starting a farm is not guaranteed to succeed. Well, unless you're doing the Farm Up Academy and you're going to implement everything that's in the Farm Up Academy. Besides that, I don't believe that you have any guarantee for you to succeed. Yeah. So I feel like, getting a loan for something that you're starting out is too much of a risk. And I only believe that it makes more sense for you to get a loan if the farm has already been running and you just want to scale it and expand it. You've proven that it actually does make money. Yeah. But you've got to get money in one way or another. And it's very important that you gather the money, put it together. But like I've said, being resourceful is more important. So there are a lot of things that you can actually implement on your farm to make sure that, you minimize your cost of starting out. So maybe the type of houses that you utilize. For example, my type of chicken houses, it's not concrete or something like that, so it can be much cheaper. That's one thing. Maybe the type of equipment you're using, maybe the feeders, the drinkers, they can be cheaper. Maybe you can't afford overalls like me. You can tell people to use their own clothes, but only one pair of clothes, so that you get to save on your costs. Yeah, so you just need to come up with a bit more creative ideas to ensure that you minimize your cost while starting up, but also you're actually starting. You're not wasting time. And then finally, a bonus tip, number 5, which is actually very important, is actually starting. Now this is a bonus, but it's quite important because a lot of people actually get stuck in all the other steps. Doing a vision, doing a plan, doing all the unnecessary things, and they end up actually never starting. They end up never starting. While they're paying attention to gathering information, gathering money, gathering all this, they end up never starting. It is so important that you actually start. It is so important that after everything has been done, you actually get that farm going. Because if you don't get the farm going, you'll never be there. Yeah. So if for me, for example, I had spent 6 years, because I've only been running this farm for 6 years now. If I had spent 6 years still learning, I wouldn't be here. If I had spent 5 years learning, I would still be in year 1 of starting. And year 1 was really, painful for me. Yeah. So learn as much as possible, but make sure that you start. Yeah, make sure that you start. It doesn't matter the circumstances you're in. If you feel like you've gathered a bit of information, you've got a bit of money, you've ideally got the other 4 things in place, you don't need to feel very ready for you to start. Just start, and you're more likely to actually be successful than someone who is waiting for 10 years, 15 years to get ready before they start. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell. That way you never miss out on an upload. Catch you very soon with another video. Lots of love. Bye-bye.